If I'm a scumbag, you're a scumbra chick. Have a seat, eat your breakfast, and please, for God's sake, go get laid. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome or welcome back to Soap Lore, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of prime time. I'm your host, Jed, viewing and reviewing one of the soapiest, sudsiest primetime storylines of 1983. We're heading back to the Mile High City to get into the Carrington Colby mess. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Tell babe no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, be cool, be quiet, or you will be kicked out because we are watching our story. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Soap Lore. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. We're going to jump into Dynasty today. Like I had planned, I sit down, turn on the TV, toggle over to the Amazon Prime app, and to my surprise, Primetime Soap Opera Network is on, and it is playing none other than Knots Landing. Even luckier still, Season 2, Episode 9, and I'm like, oh, that's not very far off. I couldn't help myself. I got a little sneaky poo. Already, I can't wait. I'm super excited. But we got to jump back into the regularly scheduled program. The big three, Dynasty, is shining and ready for us. Today, we're going to watch the episode called Peter DeVilbis. Now, I'm not going to read any further than that because last time it was too much of a spoiler, and I'm starting to regret reading it just a little bit because I like to kind of go in blind when I watch these. I don't mind reading the synopsis, but I feel like this season in particular, it's giving away a little bit more than needs to be. And then unfortunately, I just turned my head, so I read it. So let's go ahead and get into it. This says, Dex continues his effort to win Alexis. Jeff learns Adam Schmate Kirby. Krystal relishes her own publicity post. That doesn't make any sense. Krystal relishes her own publicity post. Fallon meets a dashing millionaire at the track. I really don't care, actually, about Fallon. And it's funny I bring that up because we have a little bit of fan mail. Seattle writes, I was a huge fan of Dynasty in the 80s. I didn't watch it in real time, but I definitely caught the last couple of seasons and went back and watched it in the early 2000s. I totally agree with you about Fallon. There's going to be a major shakeup a little later on, but her constant whining and pouting was really off-putting, and I don't really feel like she grew as a character. Well, thank you, Seattle. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I'm going to take your word for it, but she does seem like a waste. It kind of bugs me every time I look at her. Like, there's just so much there. Even when I watch something like Dallas, there is a little bit more nuancing within the characters. I don't see that as much on Dynasty so far. I'll give it that so far, but Fallon does kind of feel like she fades into the background more times than not. And I don't even care at this point because how many dudes has she bounced around with? I vaguely remember most of them. But apparently you do. This is a comment. I think this one was left on one of the channels. And I'm sorry, the name is like a bunch of letters and numbers. All it says is, dude, is Tuscany wearing eyeliner? Dude, I had that exact same thought. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like kind of a waterline manipulation. If you're early 2000s girly, you kind of remember when that was all the rage of putting like a little bit of white eyeliner in the corner or like a lighter color eyeshadow in the corner of your eye, your inner corner, and then maybe putting a little white eyeliner. If you were in the club circa early 2000s, early teens, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That white eyeliner to make your eyes pop. That's kind of what it looks like. I totally agree. I don't know if he's wearing eyeliner or not, but it definitely looks like it. Don't forget, you can leave me a comment anytime you'd like. If you're listening to this on your mobile device, check the show notes. Just send me a text. I don't know. It's like a 5-digit number. Holla at your girl. But in the meantime, go ahead and pour up something bubbly. We're going to jump into season 4, episode 9, Dynasty. Peter, I'm going to assume this is Peter DeVilbis. DeVilbis. I don't know where he's from. Peter DeVilbis. Before we do that, there's a lot of single names. They're introducing a lot of people, and I love it. So far, so good. Let's see if Peter Piper can bring it. I've made it approximately 5 minutes and 19 seconds into the program, and I'm already ready to slap Jeff in the mouth. I totally forgot that he was on my list. The gaslighting is at an all-time high. So he and Fallon meet in the kitchen because they're both grown millionaires who don't seem to want to buy their own home. They meet in the kitchen in the middle of the night where there just happens to be a loose leaf ham and a platter of cheese and whatnot that isn't sliced. Serious question from my OGs. I'm not trying to be funny. Was, if you wanted a sandwich, you had to, cut the ham? Was Oscar Mayer, bologna not a thing in 83? Doesn't seem like that's that new of an invention, but I've never looked into it, and I'm in the middle of something now. I refuse to look into it. I'll look into it after this episode, but there was sliced bread, which in my mind implies that you're going to make a sandwich, but I guess slicing the meat was a different thing? Anyway, there's an entire Christmas ham on the counter, and Jeff walks in the kitchen in his bathrobe. Fallon's downstairs making a sandwich, and they have the conversation once again. We can't, I feel guilty. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Acknowledging that they have hooked up, and acknowledging that not only do they have to co-parent and cohabitate in the same home, they're going to need to do it under the guise of being totally normal. Can we just be normal? Yeah, let's just totally be normal. I believe Fallon when she says that. She doesn't seem to want anything else to come from this. She's just let me just eat. I'm not really trying to do this with you right now. I feel a way about it. But Jeff is wiggling his eyebrows hey, hey, sexy lady, would you like to do round 2? And she's probably thinking, God, no. Didn't I divorce you? And then sleep with 8 people? Let me not do that. At least 2 or 3 people between this. She's not feeling him. But he's wiggling his eyebrows. Finally, she relents. She's like, cool, what do you want on your sandwich? Well, as she's preparing his sandwich, Kirby comes downstairs, and I swear she has on the identical robe my big sister used to wear around the house. And it's zipped up to her chin. It's a child's robe. But Kirby is shocked. She should be up in the middle of the night feeding her pregnancy cravings. But there she sees Jeff and Fallon. Now, Fallon looks shocked. Jeff seems annoyed. He's like, oh, we were just grabbing a bite to eat. You should join us. Oh, sure. That's so kind of you to invite your wife to have a meal with you and your mistress. That's so lovely, Jeff. So, of course, she gets upset and she goes upstairs. He follows her, gaslighting her the entire way. Once he gets in the bedroom, she's locked herself. Well, I don't know if she locked the door or not. He didn't actually try to open it. He just goes over to it and starts chastising her. I don't know what you heard downstairs, but you could at least come out of the door and talk about it. First off, take that bass out your voice, little boy. I'm not one of your little friends, is what she needs to say. Who do you think you are speaking to, Jeffrey? How dare he? He knows what he said downstairs. He knows what he insinuated. He's still trying to get into Fallon's drawers. But she's in the wrong for being upset because you're not actually saying it, but she's got that woman intuition. She knows what you're doing. She doesn't want to come out of the bathroom. He calls her a child, and I'm going to go downstairs and have a sandwich. Oh, boy. It's enough to piss you off. Well, anyway, the next morning, Fallon is dressed for work. She's heading downstairs as the maid and baby Blake are coming upstairs. Baby Blake has never seen this woman before in his life. Every time Fallon comes within 2 or 3 feet of him or touches him, the kid kind of freaks out. He's like, I don't know you. They have a conversation about oatmeal, blah, blah. Fallon turns a corner, starts to head downstairs, where she is accosted once more and again by Jeff, who's heading upstairs. And he says some stupid line like, oh, we have to stop meeting like this. You know what, bro? You would. If you would only take your millions from Colby Co. or your millions from Denver Carrington and move the F out. Or at least down the hall. Or at least to another wing of the house. He don't want to do that. But he wants to keep playing in Kirby's face. I'm going to restrain myself for the rest of this program so that I can enjoy it. But God, I had forgotten that I couldn't stand Jeff. Thank God for one of my favorite antagonists this season, Adam Carrington. Totally forgot he still lives there, but he's downstairs about to prepare himself a little bit of brekkie when Fallon walks in. She's sipping her juice, she's being all snooty or whatever, and Adam demands an apology from her. She rolls her eyes and tells him she's never going to do that, but he decides there's no better way to start your day than to antagonize your baby sister. And he implies that she has been unbearable of late because she's not getting any. Tells her that she should probably get back to her old bed hopping ways and put a kaput on this sexual anorexia that she's been carrying around. She is shocked. How dare you say that to me? And he's like, yeah, I do. I do dare. I definitely dare say that to you. Now she, as she should, she swings back from Mississippi to come across his face and he's like, catches her hand. He's like, you ain't got for one time to hit me. I gave you a freebie. Try it again, little girl. It's going to be a problem. And she's like, oh, you're so disgusting, Adam. I can't stand you. You were the scum of the earth. You're just like Alexis. Just like your mother. And he's like, did you forget that we come from the exact same DNA pool? If I'm a scumbag, you're a scum bra chick. Have a seat, eat your breakfast, and please, for God's sake, let's go get laid. It's more of the usual with Steven and Claudia. He's coming in. He's wearing like a really fresh Adidas tracksuit. And it just occurred to me, Adidas has not changed their style in over 40 years. And I love it. I love that classic Adidas tracksuit. My family and I are going to buy some for Christmas so we can take our Christmas pictures of them. They don't know that yet, but I made that decision about an hour ago. But Claudia is starting to get real sick and tired of all these extra calls coming from Alexis at early hours. Alexis is doing her best to keep Steven and Claudia apart. So at one point, Alexis makes her way over to Steven and Claudia's house when they're not there, and she ransacks their closet. Now, when Claudia finds out about this, enough is enough. She goes to Alexis's office to confront her. Alexis tells her, girl, I'm not going through Steven's stuff. I'm going through your stuff. You need to up your ante. You need to step out in style. You are Carrington now. Steven's last name will always be Carrington, and that carries some weight. You need to dress the part. Now, this seems like it could be a nice gesture, but we all know that's not what it is. Claudia's thinking the same thing. So she's like, that's very cute, but Steven doesn't need your help. I don't need your help. What I look like is just fine. And Alexis is like, I'm so sorry, darling. Please, just forgive me. Please forgive me. Claudia tells her she'll think about it. But I'm thinking, as she says that, she's like, I mean, I could use a little zhuzhing. Let's be clear. If anybody puts that ish on, Alexis puts that ish on. She looks fantastic from head to toe. Well, not with that rat wig. But from at least the eyebrows down, she's killing it. Always. A little shopping spree never hurt anybody. Okay, let's get the boring bit out of the way. We got to talk about the Carringtons being Fallon, Krystal, and Blake. I suppose in an effort to not be around Jeff, Fallon seeks out Blake. She tells him that she wants to go with him to San Francisco to this oil show he's going to. Color me surprised. I didn't know San Francisco was like an oil town. Doesn't seem like people would meet there. I don't know. I don't know much about oil production in SoCal, or San Francisco's not in SoCal, but in California in general. But there's supposed to be some big expose there. She wants to go because she's heard about this European designer and she's got a few ideas for La Mirage. La Mirage ain't nothing but a highfalutin La Quinta. No shade to La Quinta. I love it. But that's basically all it is. So she's still trying to decorate God knows what. But I think it's really just an effort to get away from Jeff. Krystal is also going to go on this trip. So Krystal, Blake, and Fallon fly into San Francisco. And while they're waiting on the expose or the conference or whatever, they decide to go to the racetrack. Now, in my heart of hearts, I sure was wishing that this was Richard's racetrack. We could have a little crossover collab, but that was not the case. They sit down to start making their bets. And immediately Krystal and Blake come across a guy who was at their original wedding. He doesn't know that they're divorced. It could get awkward, but it's not really awkward because they're kind of back in love. They're super happy to be together, which you all know I really, really don't care about, but I guess I have to talk about it. Meanwhile, Fallon is sitting there about to make a bet when this ambiguously European guy starts trying to give her pointers on what horse to pick. Now, she's not really in the mood. She's like, that's cute, but I do what I want. She picks horse, let's say A. He tells her to pick E. Sure enough, horse number E. Horse E wins the race. When she turns around, the guy's gone. She's like, oh, that was weird. I'll start listening to strangers more. That stranger happens to be this episode's namesake, Peter DeVilbis, who claims to be a hotel owner. He happens to own the hotel that they're staying in. He figures out who she is, and he goes up to her room to hand deliver a bouquet of roses. But within the bouquet of roses, there are several $100 bills on those like kind of clear plastic pitchforks that they put in flowers to like hold the card holder thing. Several hundred, well, it's probably about $2,000 if I'm guessing. And some red roses. And she's all, oh my gosh, why did you do that? And he's like, I felt bad that you didn't win. Then he snaps his fingers and this violinist come in to play some music. These guys bring in these silver platters on trays. It's a whole thing. So they dance the night away in her hotel suite. She does end up giving up the ghost. So the next morning, Krystal and Blake are downstairs having breakfast and they're waiting on Fallon. Blake's like, yeah, I called her. She said she'd be right down. This would have been very convenient to have a cell phone, but I love trying to figure out like what you would do if that didn't exist. Apparently you just wait on people. She shows up, cool. If she doesn't, that's cool too. But she comes downstairs just long enough to let them know that she's not going to leave with them. The plan was that they would all leave right after breakfast. And Blake immediately goes, oh, so you found someone. And I thought that's an odd thing for a dad to say. Why would he be so eager? You clearly know she would have had a one night stand. I don't think that's appropriate breakfast talk. But then again, that's not my family. But then I remembered, this is a soap opera. And sometimes you just got to push that story along. Oh, great, Fallon, you fell in love last night? That's great. Well, we're going to go ahead and fly back to Denver. Turns out that Peter DeVille or Peter Piper, that's his name until I can figure out something else. Peter Crack Piper is snorting that good old booger sugar, which seems to be a theme on all of these shows. It's definitely the 80s. I'm starting to feel that Miami Vice thing, but he has a little packet of that cocaine. And he's slipping it under a tray. We know this because his lawyer comes to visit him right after he does a line. Peter Crack Piper's lawyer comes by to tell him that this other vaguely European guy wants his money now. He wants all $6 million immediately. Peter tells his lawyer, you need to chill. You need to tell him he'll get his money when he gets it. I just met a girl last night. I hooked up with her night one. It should take me, a few days max to get that money because her dad's a millionaire. And the lawyer's just kind of rolling his eyes like, oh God, he doesn't want to have to like scrape this man's body off the pavement or anything. This doesn't feel like a good idea, but that is the whole Peter DeVilbis. We know that he is broke, or at least in debt. Doesn't mean he's broke. He definitely likes that nose candy, and he is planning on squeezing Fallon for at least $6 million. Kind of a theme here across the board. I think of Aunt Terry in this. She came into some money, and then a booger sugar snorting dude wants to squeeze her for a little cash money. It's floating around, man. I don't know what to tell you. Meanwhile, back in Denver, Alexis is working out in the privacy of her own home when Ham and Cheese Jeff comes bursting through her door, storming in to confront her. Wants to know why she spun the story about the merger not happening. So it hit the papers at some point that day that Alexis is quoted as saying basically that Denver Carrington's numbers were not comparable to Colbyco's number. So she thought it would be a bad idea for the acquisition to happen. She didn't want to merge with them because of that. Jeff is all on his feelings. He bursts in and she's like, dang, Jeff, what? He demands that she buy him out. You're like, you can either buy me out or I'm going to sue you. She's like, cool, I'll buy you out. What's the deal? And he says, well, you own 47 shares of Denver Carrington. I own 50 shares of Colby Co. I'll give you 47 shares of Colby Co. if you give me the 47 shares of Denver Carrington. That was difficult to get out. She agrees begrudgingly, of course, which makes her, like a 97% owner of Colby Co. And I guess Steven's kid owns the rest. I forget. This all gets very, very blurry, but it doesn't matter. Jeff is now even more so immersed in Denver Carrington, and Alexis still runs Colby Co. That's it. That's all. So Adam and Jeff work for Blake. Steven works for Alexis. Well, after this news, after he is awarded 47 shares in Denver Carrington, Jeff, of course, goes over to Denver Carrington to tell Blake the great news, and they pretend like he doesn't already work there, I guess. Do you need another job? I still don't really understand how that would work. I just don't see how that couldn't have been a conflict of interest from the giddy up. But he was running Colby Co., but also working with Blake. So now he is, I don't know. I don't really care. Blake and Jeff are just kind of yucking it up. When in walks Adam. And Blake's like, oh, hey, Adam, I have great news. Jeff's back with us. He owns 47% of the company now, and he's going to be working here. He's back on top where he belongs. Y'all know Adam is off his meds. But ever the gentleman, he suppresses his eye roll, and he's like, congratulations, Jeff. And they shake hands, but it's very stiff. You can kind of feel the temperature drop in the room, like it's not cool. And Blake's like, I hope we can leave the past in the past. Now, I am all for conflict resolution. I think it is very important. I think more adults and more children should learn to resolve issues. However, I do not believe in saying, oh, let's just forget. You can't forget the past. There is damage done there. And if you pretend as if it never happened, I think the elephant in the room makes it more awkward than actually just clearing the air. Let's acknowledge that you and I are not on the best of terms, and let's take some steps to rebuild some sort of trust, or let's build some sort of cohesive relationship so that we can both kind of get what we need to get done here. But, let's just pretend it never happened? No. Because Adam, you can tell he ain't forgotten nothing. Jeff certainly hadn't forgotten anything, but we're going to keep it cute in front of you, Blake. So at that point, okay, all that happened right before they jumped on the plane and went to San Francisco. Jeff is left in charge. Surprise, surprise. And he goes home. He's chilling in the library when Dexter shows up. Dex wants to talk to Blake about something, but he sees Jeff, and they kind of reintroduced. They saw each other at the board meeting, but they didn't really talk. So Dex introduces himself, and immediately Jeff remembers that last name. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad. And Dex is like, oh, it's cool. He's on the mend. He's cool. So Jeff, now that you're here, does that mean the murder's going to happen again? And Jeff's all cavalier. He don't really want to talk about anything. But whatever he's not saying is piquing Dex's interest. So he goes over to see Alexis. He heads over to her penthouse where Mark is slowly moving in as the new head of security, aka the only bodyguard. And they have this awkward introduction. Dex and Mark, that is. Alexis sees Dex promptly tells him to leave. And he does, but not before sharing a very passionate, steamy kiss. Dex is into her. He's totally into her. I don't think he's faking. I don't think this is like an opportunistic situation like the Peter Piper thing. I think he really does want her. Speaking of really wanting stuff, Adam's sexual harassment count is at least 4 or 5 by this point. So he's minding his business in his office when in walks young, ambitious Tracy. You remember Tracy, right? She's the one who was supposed to be the PR person for Denver Carrington before Blake decided that Krystal needed that job. Anyway, with Krystal being out of town, and I know I said San Francisco a second ago, I just rewatched something and Adam said LA. Whatever, they're in California. With Krystal being out of town, Tracy takes it upon herself to write this really awesome, I'm assuming, press release, and she needs Adam's approval. So he's kind of chuckling because he recognizes her ambition as his ambition, and she's in a rush. She really wants it done that day. And just as he's about to kind of tease her a little more about it, the phone rings and it's Jeff. He's like, what do you want, Jeff? Jeff wants to chat about something. So he goes to Blake's office where Jeff is chilling, and Jeff tells him that he needs to go handle like a management issue. Adam is like, no, I don't think I can. I need to go to the plaza. I need to make sure they're building all this stuff. And Jeff's like, you just made that up so that you don't have to do what I tell you to do. Why are you always pushing back? You know what it is, Jeff. You know exactly what it is and why. And I want to know, Jeff, why you were pushing Adam to do these things. It's a weird sort of power play. It's a lot of control going on. Plus, Adam and Jeff have never really liked each other. So finally, Adam was like, I pushed back because you haven't seen me as a real person. You've never treated me as equal. And Jeff's like, oh, you lie. Whatever, dude, whatever. You're just mad because Kirby picked me. And Adam does that stone face thing he does, which makes me a little bit nervous. It's a little unnerving. He's like, I guess that makes you the winner and me the loser. If that makes you feel better, so be it. Turns on his heels, goes back to his office, and tells Tracy that ambition is a great word, and then he basically does this whole payola thing. You want to pay to play? You want that article in the paper? Cool, it's going to cost you a little something, something. So they make out right then and there. So weird. But also, I'm not mad at it. Because Tracy has that little bit of a twinkle in her eye. I don't know what club to put her in just yet. She strikes me as like an accidental bad girl. Like she's going to have to get pissed off 87 times before something actually happens. I'm not mad at this union if it happens. I actually kind of like it. I guess it's not really an HR issue if it's two consenting adults and you can do whatever you want. It seems like everybody's hooking up with everybody on this show. But speaking of HR violations, actually this isn't an HR violation. This seems like it could be a HIPAA violation. Maybe, maybe not. Why Jeff goes to the to the OBGYN is beyond me. I love a supportive partner. I love a secure man. But I can't think of any reason why a grown man would attend an OBGYN appointment without his wife. There's nothing there for you, homeboy. But Jeff goes to Kirby's OBGYN to talk to the doctor about possibly taking a trip with her. And I'm thinking, this is 1980. You can ride a horse. You can drink champagne. You can smoke all the cigarettes you want, but getting on a plane 3 months pregnant is cause for concern. Selective protection. Anyway, Jeff's like, Doc, I really want to take Kirby out of town. And the doctor's like, I think that'll be a wonderful idea. I think that's great. Opens her file and he's like, yeah, in about 5 months, that'll still work. And Jeff goes, oh, no. I think you have the wrong file there. Kirby's only 3 months pregnant. The doctor is a grown man and he's like, I am a doctor. I assure you that these records are 100% accurate. Kirby was 3 months pregnant when she came to see me, but she is 5 months pregnant. Now he's still thinking, the doctor, I'm assuming, is still thinking that Kirby and Jeff didn't want people to know that they had hooked up before they got married. So remember when he told Kirby it was no big deal? No. But now Jeff's there like, whoa, no, because we only been together 3 months. So it couldn't be 5 months. So now he's pissed. He storms home. Kirby is playing on the piano. She's trying to be happy and jolly because she promised him she would stop brooding. She would get over the death of her father. But he drags her. Well, he demands that she follows him upstairs. She goes upstairs and she's like, what is your freaking problem? He demands answers. You're 5 months pregnant, Kirby? What kind of game are you playing? And she just kind of folds within herself like, oh, no. He starts pressing her for answers and she's like, it's not even like that. I was raped. And he's like, raped? By who? By who? She finally tells him. By Adam. It hits Jeff like a ton of bricks that she's carrying Adam's baby. And she's like, yes, I got his demon seed. I didn't want to. But I understand where he's coming from. He's shocked, but he's pissed because it's like, you got pregnant and then now I feel like you're using me. When he burst into the room, after he forced her in there, he's like, I can't believe that the girl I loved would lie to me. Sir, are you or are you not lying to her face? Are you or are you not trying to hook up with your baby's mama? Did you or did you not hook up with your baby's mama? It's the audacity for me. I'm glad this is out in the open. I'm glad we can air this out a little bit. I am a little bit concerned that this is all happening episode 9. This is fairly early on in the season. I do believe there's over 24 episodes this season. So think about that in the grand scheme of things. I'm banking on her not having this baby. I don't think Jeff would hold this in either. I don't see why he would need to hold this in as a secret. This makes it very awkward. This is all the more reason to move out of that house. There's absolutely no reason she should be living under the same roof as her rapist. Now, I hope Jeff kind of takes that into consideration, that maybe she wasn't just acting a fool. Not only was she like bereft, but she's also dealing with living down the hall from this weirdo. All right, let's keep this one short and sweet. Join me next time as we jump into Dallas, season 4, episode 9. Don't know the name of that, but I know it'll be good. In the meantime, in between time, lock your doors before Ham and Cheese Jeff burst in on you too. God, he's burst through 3 different doors like the Kool-Aid Man. Let's keep him out. Clickety-clack, lock your doors from Ham and Cheese Jeff. Also, if a wealthy, vaguely European man starts offering you gambling advice, check his nose for the book of sugar and turn and walk away. Save yourself a headache. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your business, and keep all of your drama on TV.